All right. So our next topic is basically the main topic, getting to know you, a fan's journey. So this is where I want people to come into the chat and you know, comment on your journey, how you got here, when you started as a kid, talking about comic books, movies, what got you into DC, things like that. We have a very special guest waiting backstage right now that's going to come on and join us. We are going to find out a little bit more about this gentleman and what he has gone through and what has got him here. All right, let's go ahead and bring on the man. Skiiwalker the Jedi.
Hey,
How you
what's going
feeling?
on, y'all? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Coming through clearly, because y'all know I be starting my shows and I be on mute half the time, man. I don't know when I'm actually being heard and when not. But hey, it's a pleasure to be here, gentlemen. Thank you for allowing me to.
Thank you for coming.
Kick off this inaugural episode with you guys, and I'm very excited to have this conversation. 100%.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, hey, we got the man behind Sell here. Feel free to ask him any questions you want to ask him. I'm going to go ahead and pop off the first one right now. Okay. What was your very first comic book that you ever read? The very first one that you can remember?
Man, for some reason, I want to say it was like Dick Tracy or something, man.
Okay.
That might have been the first comic book I ever read, right? That's definitely the first one that I can remember reading. But nah, man, like I just fell in love with the medium like very early, and I quickly got into all the Batman and Justice League stuff. Really loved DC. Definitely like some Marvel cartoons growing up. I was never as big into their comic books, but I did love like the Spider-Man TV show and X-Men and all that stuff back in the day. Wasn't too big on the Iron Man show, which a lot of Marvel fans is bandwagon, man, because nobody liked that stuff growing up.
No,
nobody in the
You know
Iron
what?
Man.
I'm gonna disagree there because
yeah.
I liked it. Sorry, I liked it.
That show.
I liked it, but it's cool. I didn't like Fantastic Four. So
All right, which I always liked the Fantastic Four more, right? I always liked the X-Men more. Iron Man and Captain America, they just wasn't really popping like that. It was all about Spider-Man and the X-Men, 100%. So
it's funny because we were talking about that backstage, that like a lot of us that grew up and like, because we're all pretty much like between the ages here and there, a lot of us are mostly DC because a lot of us, we just couldn't get used to Marvel because it was just a different type of content, like with DC you can feel the mythology, the seriousness, the realism of the content. With Marvel you don't get that so much, not trashing Marvel, it's just a different cup of tea, you know what I mean?
There's no way that after watching like Batman the animated series that you can go watch that Iron Man show and be like, oh man, this is dope. Like it's just like nah. Batman the animated series was cinema back then. Yeah, literally, right? I mean, Batman Mask of the Phantasm was in theaters and it's one of the best Batman movies ever.
Did you actually see that in theaters?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
What about you, Charles? Did you get a chance to see that one too?
I never saw it. No.
No, yes. Yeah, me neither.
That played in theaters, didn't make a bunch of money. But no, man, I was all in on that stuff, all that animated stuff. They had another film. I don't know if that one went to theaters, but the Sub-Zero one, with Mr. Freeze, that was a fan. Oh man, I've always loved DC content growing up. It's always held a very, very special place in my heart. And
what was the first DC comic that you read? Because you said Dick Tracy was the first.
Batman. Yeah.
Which Batman? Which do you remember the issue or the novel?
No, I don't. Man, I don't really remember, bro. But it was probably
really.
Grant
Look what Sin Havoc
Morrison.
just said. It
Right.
was
Mask of the
actually live
Phantasm
action.
movie was actually supposed to be live action. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Okay, for that, Sin Havoc.
You know what happened to this guy, Jack? Well, made mistakes. And then he had this. Lights out! Now you want to get nuts! Come on, let's get nuts.
Every time anybody in the chat says something that we're like, wow, boom, you get a drop.
Yep, you get a drop for some very, very wise words, keen insight, things like that. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay,
We
who
got,
else we got here? Oh, yeah.
That's all right. My first comic I remember was Giant Size Superman versus Spider-Man. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one should we give Zod? How about
kneel before Zod. Yeah.
Okay, this one. Okay, I'm gonna do this for Zod.
That's the math. Because we're tired of being the trail donkeys, acting like you some one-man GPS. God damn it! We lost. We fucking super lost, man. Tell them, McCluskey. Tell them what time it is.
I don't believe you people.
Huh. What do you mean, you people?
What do you mean, you people?
Huh?
I
I love you, Zod. Shout out to you.
But yeah. Yes. Oh, Sky, continue, sir.
Yeah. I was gonna say that I don't remember who the first one was, but my favorite Batman is definitely Jim Lee, man. Like I can't front. I think that has always been like the quintessential kind of comic book Batman for me, you know, in terms of look and just aesthetic. But no, it's been a huge part of my life growing up, man. And I just, man, Batman always stuck with me, which is so crazy because I ended up getting a Superman moniker later in life. And then it came back when the whole Cell Movement thing started. So I can't run from it. So it's actually kind of crazy. Leon and I was just talking about that yesterday, actually, as well. So it's been funny.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that it's backwards like that for you because that you started out Batman wise and it ended up with Superman because it was the other way around for me. So Batman is my guy. You know, but I never read I never read a Batman comic book. My first comic book that I ever read was actually Heavy Metal. So I got into the Heavy Metal series first.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, it wasn't even DC. And then I didn't get into DC until like the mid to the late 80s. And then when I saw right after I saw Superman and then I saw I saw the 89 Batman, the Keaton Batman. I was hooked after that. But the first DC comic book that I ever read was The Death of Superman. That was the first one I ever read.
That was the first.
That was the first one that I ever read, and I remember how gripping it was when him and Doomsday was fighting in the streets and all of that, and how they were talking about how they were trying to give Superman CPR, but they couldn't because he was, he was so Joe. I was like, wow. But yeah, that was the very first comic book that I ever read, and it was a super gripping comic. So, and I still got it. It's old back there with old back. Yeah.
By the way, let me interrupt real quick. We got Batman. What's up? I'm visiting family. We'll catch up and replay tomorrow. Congratulations for your first show, Batman. Thank you.
Shout out to Batman. Appreciate it, brother.
Taking a minute.
Shout out to Batman.
This one's for you, Batman.
Madness. This is Sparta!
That was like my favorite part right there. When after he kicked him and he just turned around and slid his sword back into his sheath.
Yo,
Dude, I went to the theater. I saw it last week. Remember I told you I was gonna go see 300?
Mm.
Dude,
Hey,
it's a
gonna
different
be-
it's a different experience on theaters.
it's gonna be playing at that Worlds of Zack Snyder event.
The epic worlds
at-
of Zack Snyder.
at the Egyptian theater. But to your point though, Charles Austin, about Death of Superman, I was a kid when I was like 4 or 5 years old when that came out, man. And I can remember seeing the signage and just like how big of a thing that actually was, you know. It seemed to be like earth-shattering at that point. Even as a kid, right? It was like, oh my God, Superman's gonna die. Like, what's gonna happen? You know? Man, great stuff, yo.
Exactly. I was telling oh, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, man. I was just gonna say, yeah, I was telling we were talking about that backstage about how even the for some reason the grittiest Marvel story for some reason still can't hold the candle to DC's gritty story. It's just it's the writing feels different when you open the page and you look at the dialogue and you see what's going on and you're like, this it feels real when you read. I mean, you can see the action in Marvel and all that, but it just I'm like it just felt different. You know what I mean? DC had it was on a whole nother level when it came to the writing and the scope of the story and stuff like that. So yeah.
And also, isn't DC older than Marvel? Like DC came out first. Like was it Action Comics first, and then Detective Comics? So you know, DC's been in this earth way longer than Marvel. Unfortunately, DC is in worse shape now, but that's neither here nor there. But yes,
that's by design.
Yeah, but also now that you were mentioning about the fact that these stories are greedy and so, like another big one that hit worldwide was Death in the Family, the death of Robin. You know, so that's where you see like DC is bold enough to go there. You know, like to take away our favorite characters, because I was the same first one. The first comic that I read also was the Death of Superman, because I was like, holy shit! Like I knew who Superman was, but I've always been a Batman guy. Yeah, and then like all of a sudden, then they take away Big Blue. We're like, holy shit!
I think Neil Adams might have been the first Batman that I ever saw. If you see, since he put me to it, I think it was Neil Adams. That was the first Batman I ever saw.